All right, good evening, everybody. I will call this Monday, July 24th, 2023 meeting of the Lake Havasu City Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to order. If you could all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Righty. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 3, the roll call.
Sherry Butler is excused. Kyler Cox.
Here.
Mercedes Kaiser. Here. Jason Mitchell.
Here.
Shannon Murray.
Here.
Ashley Pasquale.
Here.
Alex Ross. He was going to try to log on, but it looks like he was unable to. Philip Shannon is excused. And Council Member Vice Mayor David Lane.
Here.
Alrighty. With that being said, I would like to take an opportunity to recognize the new faces here on the board. As always, again, this is a volunteer board that advises the city about matters related to the Parks and Recreation Department. So again, we appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here to aid the city. So first I'll introduce Mercedes. If you wouldn't mind just kind of giving us a little background on yourself and tell us why you're here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mercedes Kaiser, and I've been a member of Lake Havasu City since 2018, and I'm also a member of the Lake Havasu City Disc Golf Club, and I am extremely excited and happy to be here serving as a member on the Parks and Recreation Board.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Really glad to have you. Thank you. And Jason.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Jason Mitchell. I'm very happy to be here serving. I've been in Lake Havasu about 4 years now. My daughter was born here. We love it here. We love this city. Kids love the city, love the parks and everything. So I'm really happy to be here and happy to serve and hope I can help out.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Again, we appreciate your guys' time. All right. We will move on to item number 4, election of officers. Director Keene, start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So yes, tonight we will have our election of officers. So we will start with our chair and then go to the vice chair. But if anybody would like to nominate an individual for the chairman of our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
you have only had one round in that seat so far, so I would like to nominate you for a second year as chair.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll accept that nomination.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Perfect. And then for the role of vice chair, I will take any nominations.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I would like to nominate Ms. Shannon Murray. Are you interested in vice chair? Thank you.
All right. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
So we have a chair of Kyler Cox and a vice chair of Shannon Murray. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Do we need to play musical chairs now or can we continue? Okay, good. Good. All right. Well, again, I'll take this opportunity to thank Ashley. You've been between the chair and vice chair doing this for a long time. So we appreciate you. I know I kind of stepped in and I know without your expertise and your guidance, I wouldn't be able to do what I did. So I appreciate you. Thank you for your time served as chair and vice chair. How long do you have on the board now? That is awesome. 12, 13 years. So that's
Baker's
great.
dozen.
Deal. We'll take it. All righty. And again, appreciate it. So we will move on to item number 5, the call to the public. We will now have an open call to the public for citizens wishing to address the board on issues within the jurisdiction of the board. Your comments must be limited to 3 minutes or less. If you wish to address an item already on today's agenda, you should wait until that item is announced for a public hearing. At the conclusion of the open call to the public, individual members of the board may respond to criticism made by those who address the board, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be placed on a future agenda. However, board members cannot discuss or take legal action on matters not already on the agenda. So with that being said, do I have any members from the public that would like to address the board during the call to the public? All righty. Seeing none, close the call to the public and move on to item 6, approval of June 26, 2023 meeting minutes. Looking for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the June 26 meeting minutes.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second for the approval of the June 26, 2023 meeting minutes. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Alrighty, we will move on to item number 7.1, the staff report. Director Keene.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The after-school program will start at each of the 6 elementary schools on August 3rd, the first day of school. Session number 4 of swim lessons will begin tonight, actually, July 24th, and run through August 3rd. We've been offering a free arts program in conjunction with Kiwanis Volunteers. There's 2 left. They'll be offered on tomorrow, July 25th, and on Saturday, August 1st. This program has already gone through many classes, and the kids have been greatly excited building different art projects, and we've had more than 200 participants take advantage of that free art program. So thanks to the Kiwanis Volunteers for helping out there and for all the supplies of for the art projects. Thank you goes out to the Elks Club and the Havasu Community Health Foundation for sponsoring a free open swim on Saturday, July 29th from noon to 4 p.m. Lap swim will be offered during our lunchtime beginning on August 1st. A big thank you also goes out to Allo for sponsoring a free open swim on Saturday, August 12th from noon to 4 p.m. The Allo Group will be also providing food and games during this open swim. Lifeguard and lifeguard instructor recertification class will be held on August 26th and 27th. And we'll also be running CPR classes for all the high school coaches for the fall and winter sports on August 31st. Some events going on at the community center. Have Adopt Bunko fundraiser will be on July 26th. The Havasu Community Health Foundation Back to School Fair will be held on July 29th. And the Eastern Star Bunko will be held on August 14th. With that, that concludes my director's report.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions, comments for the director?
Just one clarification: the free swim, or I'm sorry, the free arts class on August 1st is a Tuesday. I stated it was a Saturday, so both the ones left are on Tuesdays, Tuesday evening.
Awesome. Questions, comments? Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, I have a comment and a question. I just wanted to thank all of our sponsors for these free events for the community. It's really great to see the Kiwanis and Elks and Havasu Community Health Foundation and Allo, and hopefully you're sparking some ideas and keeping that momentum going with others who might be interested in doing something like that. And my question about, the after school program, has registration already opened for that, and how is it going?
Yes, registration was opened last Tuesday. Staff will be meeting as a part of a training this week. Hopefully we'll be able to make some adjustments to where staff are located and be able to bring some more people in off the wait list during that time. All the programs are full with the exception of Havasu.
Any other questions? Just a couple questions I have for the after school program. What's the total number of participants in that?
Again, we'll be working to adjust that a little bit, and it's different for each one of the schools, so I don't have a total number for you.
Like roundabout, is it like 1,000 kids?
No, it's
500 kids?
It's what are we, around 300? 300.
300 for all the schools. Okay. And I know that registration wasn't open very long. I think it filled up quickly. Do you have a time span on that, or do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, again, it depended on which school.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a couple that filled within minutes.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And so, yeah.
It's good. Means people want the program, so that's good. And they obviously like you guys, so that's good. We'll take it. As far as, during the aquatics or on the aquatic side, again, the swim lessons, I love to see that. I think that's a super important thing for where we live with the amount of pools and the lake and things like that. So it's good to see that. And then I'll just echo Ashley's statements. Again, thanks to the sponsors for making the free swims and the open swims happen, because that's a huge deal. So definitely a great thing. So and it's hot. So thank you to your staff for doing what they're doing on a daily basis out there. I appreciate it. All right. Any other final questions, comments?
I have a quick question. For the after-school program, who is it working it? Is it high school kids working it? Is it adults?
It's a combination of.
A combination? And then are you looking for more people to work it to increase your number? Are you like, where does the 300 capacity come from? Is that just like what we can?
There's two factors really that come into that number. One is staffing, and then two is the amount of space that we're given through the school district. But yes, we are always hiring. You can apply online at www.lhcaz.gov.
Great. Anything else? Any other questions? All right. We will move on to our public hearings. Move on to item 8.1, discussion and update for the downtown Catalyst site. Director King.
Sure. I know. A brief update tonight. The project plans are still under review. Conversations are continuing with Dig Studios, the design firm, as well as with our engineering department and development services. The focus really has been in those conversations is to make as much usable space as possible. Kind of talked about that at the last meeting of increasing the area in the north or decreasing the grade in that area so that it's a lot flatter, easier area to work on as far as with any sort of vendors that would be there, as well as moving a big electrical panel that was just off the sidewalk back behind a retaining wall again to give that some more space. So those conversations have been continuing. And then a piece of wonderful news is the National Park Service has reviewed the grant that we submitted through Arizona State Parks and Trails and has approved that grant submittal. So we will also have that $1 million as part of that project. So between the $1 million grant and the $1 million through America's Best Communities, that totals $2 million. We did spend about $185,000 for the design plans. So that's out of that. And again, those estimates that were received, I believe the January timeframe, were about $2.8 million. So getting pretty close to what the estimates would be. And then once that project goes out to bid, we will know those exact numbers and be able to bring that back to council. That concludes my update tonight.
Great. Thank you. Any questions before we open the public hearing on this?
I have two questions. So the first question is, because it's the Arizona State Parks and Trails, is there a stipulation that they have to maintain any sort of trail around that area?
No trails. The facility itself will have to stay in perpetuity as a community gathering space.
Oh, that's cool. And then my second question is, do you know when, I know it went to bid June 30th. Do you know how long that review process is going to take?
So we haven't sent it out to bid yet. We just received those documents of the plans and the bid packet. And so the engineering team is reviewing them. I would suspect that to be done in the next couple weeks and then be able to get that out to bid.
Great. Okay. This is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing on this item. Anybody from the public would like to address the board on this topic? Anybody? No? Okay. All right. I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for final discussion. Okay. I'll just end it and say, hey, it's awesome that we got that grant. That's a huge step forward. So it's good to hear that approval. The last thing I'll just ask you, Director Keene, is there's still some, I think, misnomers floating around with the actual usable space versus the amount of turf. I keep hearing a couple people have brought to my attention that, we're decreasing the size by about, I think it was 60% or whatever that number that was stated was. Can you just clarify one more time for us on the amount of usable space that we'll still have?
Certainly. Yes, that number that's being taken out of context was we reduced the amount of turf, of grass, to 60% of what is currently there. That was more on a water conservation end. It is not the amount of usable space. We believe once it's all constructed, the amount of space compared to what it is now is probably going to be around 90 to 95% of what is currently there. It might even be a little bit higher because of the edging that's on that property currently. It really isn't a spot where you could set up anything for vendors to be able to access there anyway. But there will be a slight reduction, but we're talking maybe 5 to 10% at the most.
Great. That's good to hear. So again, to clarify, 60% number is just a reduction in turf. So we're talking about a water savings, which is good. And we're just reducing the amount of grass, not the amount of usable space. So the amount of usable space will be 90 to 95% of what we have now. So really good numbers. So, okay, good. I had a lot of phone calls about that. So, all righty. Any final questions or discussion on this item? Okay. We will move on to item 8.2, discussion of the sports fields and courts, current and future needs. Director Keene.
Thank you. So the park staff has been working to try to find some additional companies. We've had a couple of conversations with some companies to come out to look at the baseball and softball fields, as we did have that one company come out and give their recommendations. So we are looking for a couple more companies to come out. We've had a few conversations with different companies, but have not actually had them out in Havasu yet to evaluate those fields. So we're working in that direction to kind of come up with a game plan there. If that project needs to be sent out to bid, what exactly the criteria of that bid would be, what the specs we're looking for. So we're still waiting on some data there. But I did want to make mention that as one of the first groups that came to the board and kind of started getting the ball rolling as far as some needs in the area of the fields, would be the football field. The Chiefs came and presented to the board. We have been working with the Chiefs and getting some upgrades out there to the Island football field. So the Chiefs have put in a new storage connex. So they painted their Chiefs colors. It looks wonderful out there. So that'll give them some additional storage for items that they have been storing inside the concession and snack shack. So they'll be able to expand those operations there. They're also working on repairing or replacing some of the fencing between the field and the bleachers. So that'll all be new. We have purchased new bleachers to go out there. And so if you'd go out there now, all the bleachers are removed where they're being cut up. And we'll have new bleachers there. The hope is before the first game of the season for the Chiefs. The Chiefs are also in conversation with some shade structures to go over those bleachers, just to kind of reduce the amount of sun there. And then another part of the city portion that we're working on is replacing the goalposts. So that'll be the next step in the process there. So definitely some upgrades going on out there, starting to look a lot nicer. So
Great.
that concludes my report. So any questions?
Alrighty, any questions or comments before we open it up to the public? Okay, this is a public hearing. Would anybody like to address the board on this item? Alrighty, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for questions or comments. Ashley?
Thank you. Maybe I missed this and you said it, but as far as the conversations with the different groups, are those ongoing or have you met? I know you've met with some already, but
Yeah.
where are you at with that?
I've met with most of them. We're still having some ongoing conversations of different pieces, especially when we get into the baseball field of different groups wanting different sizes and those types of things. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of trying to make those fields work for the majority, as well as be the most flexible space that we can. There's some conversation, out at Sarah Park of removing one of the fences that is really in the middle of the field, shortens up the field, and we can have temporary fencing that we put up at different times for different size tournaments or different age classifications. So definitely some still ongoing conversation there of what those needs are.
Great, that's good to hear. And I have one more question.
Go ahead.
It's a long one.
That's we got time.
Okay. I've been hearing some questions about, and I think it goes back to something I brought up, or was not, I didn't bring it up, but was brought up in the past about lighting for the courts and fields, especially in the summertime. And I was wondering about not the stadium lighting, but just lighting of all of our parks. Are those lights on, like on the playgrounds and other areas that aren't the stadium height lighting for until the parks close at 11?
Yes, not all of our playgrounds in our parks are lit. That is a little bit of an area that we are working on. But all the sidewalk lighting should be on through when the parks close at 11 o'clock.
Not that young children would be using them at 11 o'clock, but definitely later in the summertime due to the heat. So would it be, do you have a sense for which playgrounds are lit? And would that be a possibility by turning some of the sidewalk lighting or any kind of remedy for that?
It'll be something that we are looking into. I know I'll use this as an example. When we have concerts in the park in October, we bring in our military vehicle lighting to light that playground during that event or activity. So it is something that we have talked about internally with modern technology of some LEDs. It's a lot easier to be able to get those areas lit with very minimal power. That's been some of the problems, is where we have put playgrounds don't always match where electrical conduit is run. So, but it's definitely something we are looking at. I know I don't know if it's the only one, but the one that pops into my head right now is the Rotary by the ball fields is in a lighter area. But there's no light specifically, I believe, on any of the other playgrounds.
Okay,
But definitely an area that we are talking about and looking at.
that's good to hear. And then with the lighting where there is lighting for the fields and courts, I know that there's a process for an organization to reserve that space and have lights. But if for just residents who want to use it and the lights are off, is there a process? Can they call a phone number to get those turned on for an hour? How does that work?
Yeah, currently we only do it through reservations, so they'd have to reserve the fields.
Okay.
And the main reason behind that is just if we don't know anyone's going to be there, or if you're only there for a half hour, then we have the lights on and lighting up a big portion, and we have nothing, going on out there. When you drive by, you kind of scratch your head of why are those lit? So it is definitely a balancing act of kind of a fine line when they're usable and when they're not, especially in the summertime when it is, really hot right now. You would not want to be out there practicing or just working out on the field. But yeah, currently the way that we've done it is more by reservation.
Okay. Yeah, that balance is difficult. You don't want to waste power or take away people's dark skies for it not being used. But then if people do want to use it, how do they do that? So thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right, I'll just mention a couple things. The Chiefs Field, I went down there. They, again, are really showing that they're a true partner with the city. They're investing thousands of dollars into that field and the snack shack and the concession area. They're doing a full remodel on the inside. We're talking, new drywall all the way down to the studs, new electrical, redoing floors and epoxy floors, and really doing a lot of work down there. Also saving the city some money, which is good to see for the fencing. The fencing aspect was fairly expensive. I know that, Director, when we had talked about it, it was a big number for the fencing. So it was awesome to see the Chiefs step up and get some private funding for that. They really are taking ownership into the field, which is awesome. So that's good. The $500,000 that is tentatively approved, or I don't know if it officially got approved, right? So where exactly, like, is that going to all sports fields, or is there part of the money going to other things, or what's kind of the game plan with that?
Yeah, there'll be a portion that goes to the fields, as well as a portion in just some of our other parks that need some upgrading, whether that be a playground or piece of equipment, or something in those regards, or Ramada structure redone. We're accumulating a long list as we go park by park through there, and but definitely a portion. I want a major portion of that spent on the fields as well. So it'll be a little bit of a combination, and those items will be coming back for the board to see, and kind of a little bit of a priority list on that.
Good. And again, thank you to you, your staff, and the city manager and the council for making that happen. I mean, that's $500,000 is a big chunk, but it's crazy to think that $500,000 isn't going to really get us a lot, because we do have pretty expansive inventory of fields, and there's a lot of things that they need. So it's a good start. It's awesome to see. And again, I'm hoping that the council pursues that every year, and we continue that, and we keep going with where we're going, because again, we have great potential. So any other final comments or questions? Yes, sir. Ashley, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Mercedes.
I do have a question. Can you guys hear me all right? Is that better? Thank you. You had mentioned that the bleachers are going to be cut up. Is it due to like a safety issue? Is it possible they could be repurposed for somewhere else in Lake Havasu City?
We will recycle the metal, but they are beyond really a usable state.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just question on the Chiefs football. Do you know how much money that organization has put into the fields and upgrading and all of that?
I don't have an exact number for you,
Approximate.
but I could tell you over the last little less than a year, it's probably upwards of, or maybe I would venture to say right around the $30,000 mark.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Alrighty, we will move on to item number 9, future discussion items. Would anybody like to add any potential items to future agendas? Alrighty, seeing none, we will move on to item number 10, future meetings.
Future meeting dates, August 28th and September 25th.
Alrighty, great. Anything else for the good of the order? It's got to be a record, 29 minutes. Alrighty, everybody, we're going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you. Have a great night.